This is Beth Darlington, paranormal investigator and owner of Access Paranormal, and you're listening to the fabulous Al Cooley and the Ghosts in the Valley podcast.
Welcome to Ghosts in the Valley podcast. I'm your host, Al Cooley, and today I have Daniel Jackson. He is a poet and a psychic medium, and I'll have all of Daniel's links at the bottom of this episode. But before we get into the episode, I want to thank all my listeners for downloading and following me. It means so much. I'm going to take about a 4-week break for Christmas and holidays, get my voice back to speaking order, so to speak. I've been battling bronchitis for the past month. I've had people contact me asking me if I was okay. Yes, I'm fine. I'm kind of losing my voice, but hopefully I'm going to give it a break over these next few weeks. And like I said, I'll be back after the new year. We have some exciting guests coming up for the new year, some new guests, some new topics, some old guests, and some old topics. I will be starting my 5th year when we come back in 2023. And I'll be back with my conversation with Daniel Jackson right after these brief messages.
Hi, Bill Tabone here, co-founder of the Australian Paranormal Society and author of Ghosts of Airedale Asylum. And you're listening to Ghosts in the Valley podcast. Enjoy.
Daniel Jackson is a spirit medium, an author, and a gifted speaker. Daniel Jackson has the ability to communicate with archangels and spirit. With this information, he guides and assists others to fulfill their spiritual path. Daniel Jackson's main goal is to teach people about their reason for existence and to help them to become a better version of themselves. It is with this intention that he operates out of a spirit of love and compassion. Also, Daniel has been able to help many people in finding their true path with amazing results. Daniel takes extreme pride in his ability to answer all the unanswered questions. Welcome to the show, Daniel. It's my honor to have you on tonight.
Well, that about sums it up. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, you could say it better than I could without, flubbing it up. I don't even read my own stuff.
Before we get into your book, you just have a brand new book that just came out.
Yeah.
And also, I want to talk to you about the guardian angels and spirit guides and
Sure.
And what it's like to be a spirit medium.
Oh, boy.
My first question is, when did you know that you had these special gifts of being a spirit medium?
I didn't find that out it was right before I turned 50 years old, and that's been 6 years. My birthday was just a couple of days ago. I turned 56, so I've been in this for 6 years, and it's about 6.5 years. But it was I have seen spirit my entire life, ever since I was 3 years old, but I really never knew why. I mean, I just, you hear the ghost stories that other people tell, and my family had them as well because we lived in a town that was right next to a battlefield where the Hessians fought. So everyone in that area was experiencing these things, all the homes around us, and we were experienced these things quite often. We had 3 spirits that lived in our house. There was 2 men and a woman. And they would do things in the house as far as, people in this world like to play jokes. They like to prank people. Spirit do the same thing. But a lot of times they're just trying to get our attention to them. But yeah, they do like to prank us a lot. And they do things to that they think at the same time when we were pranking someone, they think it's funny. So yeah, I've seen them ever since I was 3. And that carried on. It got to be to a point where I explain it like this. When we're kids, our mom and dad feed us green beans, and then 30 years later, we love green beans. Why? Because we got used to it. Well, I got used to it. And it was happening so often that I just got used to it after a while. And I have seen some crazy things, but it was right before I was turning 50, about 6 months beforehand, that I was seeing a lot more than I would normally see. I was seeing green and red mist pouring out of the walls, and I would see these 8-foot skeletons walking around the house. I would see this thing in front of me. If you ever seen in the summertime, you're riding down the road and you see heat coming off the road, and it's kind of wiggly like that. I would see that, but I would see it inside my house, so it wasn't coming off of the street. Yeah, and full-on shadows and full-on shadow people. But I can explain shadow people as well too, because people they think it's something evil and scary. I mean, what color is your shadow?
I would say it's black.
Yes, and so what color are shadow people? Black. Yes, they're just spirit. That's all they are. And spirit come through sometimes. As I always tell people, some spirit want to be seen. Most of them don't. But the ones that do want to be seen, not all of them want to show their true selves to you as well. So they come through as that shadow form. So it's nothing to be scared of, But so I've seen this. Yeah, and then right before I turned 50, there was just so much happening that I sought out help and eventually had a paranormal group come to my house. When they showed up to the house, I saw the insignia on the van, and I thought to myself, I don't want to be this kind of famous because, people are going to think they got the poltergeist happening next to their home in my neighborhood. Unfortunately for them, they did. But unfortunately for everyone else, I live in Arizona now. We moved out here about a year ago, and it still happens here. It's with being a medium and what I have going on with me. I have something going on with me that no other medium has, and that's why I one of the mediums I sought out to help me with this pointed out that I have an ability to see spirit, but I have so many with me, and the reason is because they're coming to me, and that's why I have all these experiences all the time, and they're coming to me because my light is much brighter than anyone else's, because they believe that I'm the light into heaven. Fortunately for them, I am, and that's what I do. I cross spirit over into the light.
No, and you were talking about in your house, you've seen the three. Because I'm currently writing my first book on my personal, my own haunted house experience when I was 12 years old. It's only taken me 55 years to write this book, but
yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But
hey, if you need any help with that, or you want to understand what it is you're actually seeing, I could actually tell you.
But did anybody in your house, anybody else see what you seen?
Oh yeah, my well, like when I was growing up, both my brothers and my sister and my mom and dad saw them as well. It was just when we moved from New Jersey down to Delaware. My mom and dad and I, my one brother who was only there a year, but he moved back. But at that point, I was the only one who was continuing to see them all the time. But here in the house that I'm in now, or even the one that was in Delaware with my wife, she sees them as well. When all this stuff was coming at me, for this one period of time, it was because my wife went away on vacation for 2 weeks to visit her daughter. And for those 2 weeks, I saw everything you can ever imagine in a scary movie at my house. And but I was being shown all this stuff because my spiritual guides were testing me to see if I would move forward with this or not. And I decided to do that. And then once I said yes to moving forward with it, I had a sit-down talk with God, and that's what he wanted me to do. So I decided, yes, I'll do this. And when I started doing that, all the scary stuff started going away. Now, that's not saying I don't see a lot of negative energies, because I still do, because I'm protected by my spirit guides all the time. So saying, like, I could walk into any scary house or supposed super scary house, and nothing can actually touch me. And I do it all the time. It's just I'm protected all the time, so I can cross these spirit over. But yeah, I see negative ones all the time. But my wife sees a lot of stuff in the house too. She doesn't see them in the way that I see them. She sees lights and orbs and sparkly things going through the house, and things moving around, like it looks like the air moves in front of you. And I see that as well. But I see full-on faces, full-on people. But I don't just see people. I see dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, other beings from other worlds. I see everything. So, yeah, it's different. It's different here in
So,
my house, Al.
so you think that everybody has guardian angels, spirit guides?
Yeah, everyone has spirit guides. No, not everyone has what we would refer to as guardian angels. The only reason you actually have an angel with you is because you are performing a specific task that God wants you to do, and you're aware of it. And that's the only reason you would have angels for you, because those types of things that you're doing for Him is for the masses, and not just you going to a grocery store to get some coffee. You don't need an angel for that, okay? So the ones we do have with us are spirit guides, and those are just people who have crossed over, who have fulfilled the purpose that the soul was here to do, and usually like to come back, because as a bright white loving soul, we like to do good things. So they come back, and sometimes they are connected to us, whereas they are a mom and dad or an uncle or even someone from a previous life as well. But most of the time, they are just other people who say, "Hey, I still want to help. Can I go back and help someone?" And they get assigned to somebody, and that's how it works. And the thing about spirit guides is they try to help us. They're not here to fix our lives, okay? It's up to us to fix our lives, but they're here to try to help us through our lives, ease us through the best that they can. But the thing about that is people don't listen. It's about listening to them and following through. And if you're not going to do that.
Yeah, I went through something that just happened to me a couple months ago. I'm going through this with my sister. My stepfather has dementia, so my sister and I were with him every single day. So we switch off days. And I was driving home one day, and it was, if you know people with Alzheimer's or dementia, you know what I'm talking about. He was the most
Not easy.
most perfect father you could ever have. I mean, because he replaced a very violent and cruel father, my bio dad, and I'm thinking
The donor.
Yes. So I'm driving home from his house. I'm spending the night, and I'm live about 17 miles away from my dad. So I'm driving home, and I was just so, hate to say it, but I was just so pissed off at God, because I'm thinking, why me? Well, I mean, my bio dad died of Alzheimer's. My father-in-law died of Alzheimer's. My mother-in-law died of a very excruciating colon cancer for 2 years. My mother dies of a disease that only affects 1 out of 10 million people. And I'm thinking, I'm driving home. I'm at this intersection. It's in country roads where I'm heading home. I'm at this intersection. I'm so mad. I'm just like, why me? Why? I got one parent left, and this is not going to go down easy. And I was starting to take off from that intersection, and there's nobody at the 4-way stop sign. There's nobody there. I start to take off, and there's a car I see out my peripheral vision from my left, and he's coming about 70 miles an hour through this stop sign. There's no way he's not going to hit me. So the only thing I could do is, now I'm praying to God, I'm turning the wheel right, and I'm just prepared for that crash, hoping I don't die. And I hear a crash, bang, boom, and he had taken out a stop sign and went down to like a 15-foot ditch, and he came to a stop, and I don't know how he didn't hit me. I mean, there's no way he shouldn't have hit me. And he gets out, he's fine. He drives off after somebody else came and pulled him out of the ditch. I drive about another mile up the road before I get home. I'm in another very busy intersection. Now I'm in a busy intersection, and I got a green light, and I hear a car squealing tires again. I look to my right, and it's a woman who wasn't paying attention, and she came to a complete stop right almost next to my car, and she's crying, rolled down her window. So I'm sorry. So I wasn't paying attention. And that's the same thing that the other guy told me at the previously, like 10 minutes earlier. So I make it home, and I'm sitting in my chair, white as a ghost. I'm thinking, was that my spirit guides or guardian angel that protected me? Because I shouldn't have. I mean, both the incidences. I believe things happen for a reason.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, why? It's not about me. And here I am mad at God, and it's not about me. And so I think I had an eye opener that day, and like I just had told another psychic medium that was on the show. No, I have never. I don't know if I've ever even thought about spirit guides or guardian angels. Or
Why would you think it's not about you? You were riding down the road. You were thinking, why is this happening to me? I've had all these relatives had these painful deaths, these painful lives and painful death. And you were riding down the road thinking about how mad you were at God. So why would you think it's not about you? Because at that moment, God had something to do with keeping you from getting hurt. There, like you said, there were too many variables that should have happened, but out of somehow just didn't all at the same time. Because this was God telling you, letting you know, I'm not as bad as you think I am.
Mm-hmm.
See, the soul, the thing that people don't understand is the soul is here to learn lessons and fulfill a purpose. But everything you do in your life is a lesson. If you pick up a cup and you put it down, that's a lesson. If you pick it up and drop it, that's not a good lesson or a bad lesson. It's just another lesson. So how do you fix that lesson? Well, you pick it up a little bit, grip it a little bit tighter, so the next time that you won't drop that cup, okay? And that's our lessons in life. And we're here to figure those lessons out. But we're also here to fulfill a purpose. And that purpose is very simple. You're not here to become a doctor or a lawyer. That's not your purpose. That's a choice that you made as an occupation. Okay? Your purpose is we are here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not just because we can, but because we should. Your soul does not feel any pain. The body does. But in order for the soul to learn, the body has to do things, has to go through things, has to have experiences for it to learn. And the soul picks that body. The soul knows that body is going to go through all these things because the soul had to come back again because the previous life, it didn't learn enough. It didn't fulfill the purpose enough. So it had to come back again. So the soul will pick the body again and knowing the lessons it's going to have. So maybe these lessons will be a little harder to learn, but hopefully learn them enough that they won't have to come back and do this all over again. So the people around you, the people who are dying, the one thing you need to know that the most important thing is no one dies too soon, no one dies tragically, no one dies all of a sudden, and no one dies too young. The one thing that we all do is everyone dies. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Mm-hmm. But everything else, in order for the body to die, the only reason the body is dying is so the soul can return home. But everything that happens to that body is just a facilitation to get home. That's it. It does something to the body so the body will get out of here, so the soul can get out of here, so the body will die. But the soul is learning the whole entire time. And it's learning, it may be learning about that body having cancer. It may be learning about that body having dementia. It may be that body learning to have some type of disability. That's all that it's doing, because when the soul leaves here and goes back home, the soul is not in pain. Only the body is pain. So again, the body is, the soul is here to learn things. That's in a physical world to learn things. And that body is in this physical world is a learning tool. That's all it's for. But we ourselves get taught different things. We get taught that death is something we should fear, that we should fear everything else that is around us. We get taught everything in this world. We don't come into this world with pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, and all that other stuff. We learn all that other stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. And then the world is constantly teaching us the same lies all the time. And we keep putting up with it, going, oh, okay. But again, we're just here to learn lessons and fulfill a purpose. And everything that happened to you around that time, sure, it upset you. It was very frustrating for you to go through this. You're not the only one who goes through it. A lot of people do. But again, these are lessons to learn. Then you just came to a point where I'm so sick and tired of what God is doing to me. God is not doing anything to you. God sent your soul to learn things. That's what he's doing. That's what he did to us. There's a term that people say, God bless you. Yeah, God blessed us once. He put us here. He wants us to figure out the rest. Mm-hmm. Because life is not meant to be easy, Hal. If it was meant to be easy, what would be the point of living? If you were given everything in your lifetime, you wouldn't appreciate the things that you do have in this life. So life is going to be hard sometimes. It's not God making it hard on us. He's just sending us into these situations to see if we will learn anything from it. And sometimes we do, but most of the time we don't. And how do I know that? Because we're all here. Because we're all here. We come back many, 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 many times. The one thing that you have in common with the other 700, or 7.5 billion people in this world is they've all been to heaven. They all had to come back. So did you.
I think I was more upset with myself because I know I'm not that type of person to do that, And
Right.
I think that when I did that, I think I shocked myself. Really, I think maybe I was just at a breaking point where I'm lashing out, and
You came out of it and you were like, "Holy crap, I'm still alive."
I'm still alive, right? I'm still kicking.
But why are you still alive? Because it's for a reason.
Oh, yeah, there's a reason.
Everyone else who's not here left because it was their time to go. When it's your time to go, it just is. They are not meant to be here. You are.
Do you think that some of these spirits are here they have something to say?
Oh, yeah. They're guiding us all the time. They're trying to get us through our lives the easiest way they can. Like I said, they're not here to fix our lives, but they are here as help to help us get through our lives the best we can, to make better decisions for ourselves and help us to maybe help other people to make better decisions for themselves as well, because we're not good at it.
In your new book, The New Beginning,
Yes.
My Awakening as a Spirit Medium.
The book is about my story of how this happened to me and for me, and why this is happening to me. And the reason why it's happening to me is so that I can help other people. I'm able to talk to my spirit guides. They are what we would refer to as archangels. They're not men with wings. They don't have a shield and a sword. They're not fighting a battle in heaven. Besides, when we were kids, we were always told that all these bad spirits are all in hell. So why would they be fighting a battle in heaven if nobody bad is there? Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, yeah, but there's no such place as hell. I'm able to see into both realms, what we call earthbound and heaven. And I see them all the time. There may be somebody walking around there with horns and a tail, but he's not torturing anybody. It's just that's what he looks like where he comes from. That's all. Because if people think this is the only planet with people on it, think again. So everything that's in the book is a chronological story of how everything happened to me and for me. But then at the very end of the book, chapter 12 is called The Basics. I'm able to do something called channeling. I'm sure you've heard it before from other mediums. But when I channel, I can only channel with other mediums or very strong empaths. And the message that comes through always comes through from these archangels. And they channeled through to me this time, just to me. 25 messages of what God wants us to do to try to help us to become better people, and to help us to help other people become better people, which in turn helps ourselves, and hopefully get this world back on track of where we need to be. And it's the funny thing about it is when I took the book and I wrote it, I'm not a writer. My grammar's horrible. Okay. But so I presented everything to the editor. And when she got to the section of these 25 messages, she came back to me and she said, "None of this needs to be edited." And I said, "That's because it came from a perfect place. It didn't come from me."
Awesome.
Yeah.
Then you mentioned about there's no hell.
No.
You're like the fifth medium that has told me that
Yeah.
there's one girl's been on my show before. She died when she was little and she went to heaven and she came back. So her experiences through these years of who, her guardian angel with her, archangel with her, because and what she knows about heaven, because she's been there. So, and she tells you that there is no hell.
No such place. There is earthbound, and I do see a lot of negative energies there because that's a lower negative energy place. But just as many people that cross over into the light, there's that many people who stay here as earthbound. And the reason being is because it was their choice. You don't have to ask for forgiveness of God or anything like that. It's a choice whether you want to go in or you don't. And if you go in, the light turns off. If you don't go in, the light turns off. You remain here with everyone else. That's all. It's not the most horrible place, but it's not the best. I tell you that. There's not a lot to do.
Do you believe you can go to heaven and come back?
Everyone does.
As a spirit?
Well, yes. So everyone has multiple lifetimes. When I do readings for people, most of the people I do them for have been here between 26 and 29 times. I have done a reading for a woman who was here 43 times. she's not getting it right, that's for sure. But yeah, you come back. But the reason you come back is that's not you can choose to come back only if you have fulfilled your purpose. But if you have again, you're here to fulfill that purpose. When you pass away and you go back home, they will let you know if you have fulfilled your purpose or not. If you have not, it's not your choice at that point. You're coming back. And again, you're coming back to learn and to fulfill this purpose. Now, we fulfill a purpose throughout our lives, but not enough. And that's what it is. It's more like punching a dance card. And if you don't punch it enough times, well, you have to keep coming back over and over again. The only difference so like when you would pass away, you'll leave, you'll go home, you'll go to a holding place for two reasons. One, because 130,000 people die every day and you have to wait your turn. And two, they're going to go over your life with you. It's more of a review. It's not judgment or anything like that. We judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does God need to do it once more? Because he just doesn't. So God is neither he or she anyway. God just is. And when you get home, no one sees God. No one does. You will see other archangels and angels around you and all your loved ones and stuff like that. But all your loved ones, when you leave here and go home, you don't just know the 200 or 300 people you met here on earth. You know everybody, because that's your home. That's your real home. You come from the soul family. You come here to learn. That's what you're here to do. But you are coming here. You'll go to there and at a holding place. They'll go over your life with you, and they'll let you know whether or not if you have fulfilled your purpose or not. And if you had, you get to stay. You can choose to stay. Now, at that point, you can also choose to come back into a body, but most of them don't, because after being here 26, 27, 28 times, life is hard. A lot of those lives are hard. Why would you want to do that over again? So a lot of them don't, but a lot of them do come back here in spirit to be spirit guides for other people. Me, myself, I don't. That's not the way it works for me, my soul. So when you stand up out of your body, you look down, you'll see your body go, I guess I don't need that anymore. You'll take a step to the left, you'll look to the right, and a light will turn on for you. That's your own personal light. Everyone gets one. You either walk in or you don't. And the willingness to want to walk in, once you walk through, you will be washed away of all your pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, all that stuff. If you do not walk into that light, you will remain here as an earthbound spirit. Whatever age that you died at, you will remain here that age. Forever. But you'll also be holding on to your pain, anger, sorrow, grief, and guilt. And you still feel you've experienced pain there. It's very brief. It happens in little moments. Like if another spirit were to walk up to you, and people don't know this about it, and walked up to you and actually hit you, because they can, you would feel it. Now, it's not going to be a lasting thing. You're not going to break a bone or anything like that, but you will feel it. Whereas opposed to if you walk into the light and you go home to heaven, there's none of that, because there's no negativity there. That's why. So no one's going to be there hitting you or anything like that, because there's none of that stuff. But yeah, and then that point they will tell you, hey, you got to go back. So what happens is they will try to teach you some things, and then they send you back. But the problem is here. You wake up in a baby body and you go, what? And you got your mom and dad going, I'm your mom and dad. You're going, I don't know who the hell you are, but okay. And then they teach you everything in the world. And what is everything in the world? Lies and deception.
Because you look at the Catholics, because I was Catholic.
Oh, boy.
And I should say I was Methodist. And when I married my wife, since, you have to be Catholic to marry into the Catholic Church. So yeah. I converted to Catholic, and
they wanted you to marry into the Catholic Church so they could have power and control over you.
Well, you know what? That was my thinking when I went into it, and naturally, I don't want to hear a radical young man come into the church saying, why do I got to do confessions with the priest when I can go to do my confession with God?
You don't have to confess to God either, because God sees you all the time.
Why do I have to sign a paper saying I'm going to raise my children Catholic? I mean,
right,
so I had all these questions, and I like the priest the answer. Like he said, I'd rather see you and your wife go and marry into the Methodist Church, and I don't want to have a divided household on religion. But his thinking was, with purgatory.
Yeah, no, there's no such thing.
So with the Catholic churches, if you die, you have that point of purgatory. Who knows how long that is,
right?
Where you're judged on what you've done. God's work.
Yeah, well, who does the judging? They do, not God.
So
humans.
the Baptists and Methodists, and they believe when you die, you're either going straight to heaven or you're going straight to hell.
How do they know about hell, or that because they've never been there? And how do they know about purgatory?
There's millions and millions and hundreds of millions of people that are taught this your whole life.
Right, you're taught it.
There has to be a God to create this huge universe that we're just a speck on. There has to be a God.
There was a guy one time who didn't like the Bible, so he wrote his own version, and people started following that. You heard of him, King James. Yeah, it's written by kings and queens. Again, these are the people who want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it, and give them 10%. How did they know about 10% back then? Because they were kings and queens. That's why. Because they want to control your life. They want to tell you what you can and cannot do for the rest of your life, and people follow through with it.
You think it comes down to a money situation, a money power?
It's about money. It's about power. It's about greed. Yes, we have the same thing here. We call it government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all bullcrap. It's all. This is. I want to tell you what you're going to do, and this is what you're going to do, whether you like it or not. Because I'm telling you to do that. Why? Because I'm the one who's in control here. Why are they in control? Because we relinquished the power over to them a long time ago.
We're going to take a short break here, and I'll be right back with Daniel Jackson right after this brief message.
This is Dawn Fobbs, business development consultant, author, and co-host of the Mother-Daughter-ish podcast and shows. And you are listening to the Ghost in the Valley podcast.
Okay, I'm back with Daniel Jackson. Some of these subjects can be pretty deep to some of the listeners listening.
I am called controversial at times.
Yes, you are. But you had sent me some speaking points that you sometimes like to talk about at conferences or whatever.
Sure.
One is the 5 signs you are not living your purpose. What's that about?
Well, what it comes down to, there is 5 signs, but what it comes down to is we're not living our purpose because we feel as though our purpose, again, your purpose is we're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not just because we can, but because we should. But the thing about that is there are a lot of people in this world who walk around who are going to tell you, oh, well, my purpose is this big. They want to make it this big grandiose story that my purpose is going to be this, and it's going to be so much better than yours. And it becomes a competition where it's not a competition. God didn't want it to be a competition. He made it simple for all of us to do. You're going to do your purpose by doing one thing. It's not becoming a doctor or a lawyer or a basketball player or a teacher. You're going to do your purpose by being one thing. Human. It's that simple. We are all humans. We're all of the human race. We may be of different color or creed. We may be of different religion, but we are all the same. We are all people. And the reason we're not going to be doing our purpose is because we get too mixed up in all the distractions in this life, that I have to be better than you, or you're better than me, or I have to wear certain clothes, or I'm going to be more important to you. And the reason why we have this is because the world pushes these things on us. The society pushes these things on us, that we have to work all week long. And then we'll get a couple crumbs here and there, but you're not going to get everything that we're going to get. That's for sure, because we want to make sure that you're going to do whatever we want you to do. And that's why this world is not going in the way that it is. And it's going in such a horrible direction because we've been taught all these. And, you have these children who are taught everything that, everything's a fairy tale. Don't worry, you're going to find your Prince Charming. It's going to be okay. People don't find Prince Charming. You find someone who fits into your life and hopefully is a good fit for you, and you are a good fit for them. But we put these fake ideas into their minds, into thinking one way, so that they won't believe what's actually going on until it actually happens to them, So, and we masquerade everything in this world because of one thing. Because it comes down to that power and control. It comes down to that greed. It comes down to a certain group of people telling us what to do, the controllers in this world, and everyone follows along with it. We go on vacations. We go into debt, but don't worry. If you go into debt, we'll get you back out of debt. And then at that same time, you're going to go back right into debt again. and you're going to file Chapter 7. You're going to file Chapter 13. You're going to file all these things. And what does that keep us from doing? it keeps us occupied. It keeps us occupied with what's actually going on in this world. And what's going on in this world? Well, I can see what's going on in this world. We're out here running around, working our butts off so we can go on vacation and have 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats, while the people who are out there controlling everything are making millions and billions of dollars, and we're not. That's what's going on in this world. It's the thing like from what's that movie with Keanu Reeves? I can't think of it right now. The Matrix, yeah.
Right.
It's basically, the blue pill, red pill. If you take the blue pill, you open up your eyes and you see what's actually going on in this world. Or you take the red pill and then you continuously walk around this world blind like everyone else. And you know why I say that? Because it's unfortunate is from the past few thousand years, in the very beginning, especially within the Bible, they call us the flock, Phil. Or Al, and know what they call us? The flock. What is the flock? Oh, they're calling us sheep. That's what they're calling us. They want us to walk around and think that we are sheep. But now, what's the new? They rebranded it. What do they call us now? The herd mentality. So now they're calling us cattle. Yeah. Which do you want to be? I don't want to be either.
I would say neither one.
Yeah, I don't want to be cattle, and I don't want to be the herd. I want to be human. That's what I am, because that's what we all are. The reason we're not getting to the purpose here, the reason we're not fulfilling it, is because we have such a lack of respect for each other, and we don't care.
So I was going to hit on that. I don't think we respect one another.
Go on.
Another part of that was why you feel powerless in today's world.
You feel powerless because they want you to be powerless, because only the powerful people are the ones who are in control of this world, and everyone else is not meant to have that
So
power.
you're not part of that flock or that herd.
Yeah, they are the kings and queens. We are the flock and the herd. That's
what it sounds a lot like was George Carlin years ago.
Oh,
when he was talking about, this world is not run by politics. It's run by corporate greed.
Big corporation. They run everything. Everything. Yeah. The governments are the puppets, and they put it out there for us. So this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. I mean, right now the president is saying, "Oh, I'm gonna turn off all the coal plants out here and all the gas and all that stuff." He's not doing anything. They're doing it because they want to change everything over to solar energy, to electrical energy. But why do they want to do that? Well, because they own it all. That's why they want you to get rid of oil cars and let's go out and get some electric cars. But even though there's no infrastructure out there to keep your electric car running, because we need coal and oil to make the electric.
Just like Willie Nelson, he was using that vegetable oil to, for, I don't know how he's mixing with his fuel, but he was saving on his fuel costs.
I met a guy like that.
For his tour buses.
Yeah.
He goes to prison for tax fraud.
Evasion.
And right. But they basically shut down his idea.
Yeah. I met a guy who did that. I went to a car show one time and he converted his engine into running it on vegetable oil. And he also had a company that would go around to all the, McDonald's and all those places. And he cleaned out their casings where all that stuff was underneath. And then he would take that stuff back home and then convert it into this fuel for his cars that he built the engines for. I met him once, never heard from him ever again.
So my thinking is it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican or whatever.
No, it doesn't, because there's the left wing and the right wing, but they all belong to the same bird.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you are not going to get rid of that corporate greed.
No.
And so where do we go from here?
Hopefully we move forward in a different type of way. Again, like we just said, there's left wing and right wing, but they belong to the same bird. What we've learned, most people have learned is, unfortunately, there are those people who still think the system works. You go in and you vote, and then, but your vote really doesn't count because, the people who are lobbying and all that stuff, that's who gets who's going to be coming into office. That's all. So again, your vote really doesn't count. So, and they want us to focus on how the machines are having problems and all that stuff. What are we doing? We're focusing on this stuff and not paying attention what's going on to here, all the backdoor deals and all that stuff. How do we change this? We walk in and tell them, you're all fired, because they do work for us, correct? We get rid of them. And then we get rid of the party system, because no matter what, it doesn't make a difference who wins. We all lose. The party system does not work. It never has worked. Where did the party system come from? All the slave owners. of course, all the people who had control and power. Spirit doesn't want this. Spirit wants us to get back to helping each other. Spirit wants us to realize that we are all human. Spirit wants us to get back to the point where we can take care of each other. I mean, that's the real reason why Jesus Christ was here. The Bible is not going to mention this because they don't want you to know this, because, the Bible and religion does not want the actual second coming to happen. Why? Because if Jesus actually came back, he would take all the power away from religion. And they don't want that because they're scared of that, because they have a lot of money, So the real reason Jesus Christ was here is to let everyone know that we could share everything in this world. There's enough of everything in this world that everyone can share everything. We could take care of each other. I could be a doctor just to be a doctor to heal people. And then if I healed you, you could give me some food or chicken or something like that so I could take care of myself as well. We could share everything in the world because there's enough of everything in the world for everyone to share. But the people who did not want that to happen saw that. They were kings and queens. They were religion. They don't want to tell you that. And what happened is they saw that happening. And when they saw that, they picked him up. They drug him through the streets. They put him on a cross, because the cross is not something to revere. The cross is a form of punishment. That's what it is. Okay? So they put him on that cross. They tortured him and murdered him in front of everybody to let them know, if you follow what this guy's doing, if you even think about doing what he's telling you to do, we're going to do this to you too. This is an example. Jesus Christ did not die for your sins. We are all created equal. We all came from God, from a part of him, which makes our soul a divine soul. Everyone is a divine soul. No one does anything wrong. But you came into a world that people wanted to have control and power over each other, and they created laws. They created the rules. They created all that stuff. So you didn't die for sins, because what sin is you breaking their rules. They just call it sin. That's all. So no one actually sins. So let that stuff go. Okay. So yeah, they murdered him in front of everybody to make an example out of him. That's why he was here, to help us, because we could share, and we could get rid of the whole money system. We could share everything in the world, because again, so say, and the way that I mean that is, say I could have a Porsche, I wanted to have a Porsche, but you know what, Al, you could have a Porsche too. But then again, everybody could have a Porsche. And if everybody could have a Porsche just to have it, because we don't have to actually use money. They could just build them and we could just have them, because we don't have to put money in. We can just do it. We do it now, but we just put money into it. But we can actually do it because there's enough of everything to do that. But then you could put all the cool doodads on it to make it look cool, and so could I, but so could everybody else. Then what would we realize at that point? That we're all equal. Hey, you know what? We don't need forces to let everybody know we're all equal. We are all equal. We can all take care of each other. We could all do all that stuff, but we don't, because the control and power and greed we have in this world by the people who do that. The only way that we take this and turn this around is we get rid of them. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it has to go. We have to start over. Reset.
Common sense.
Right. There was a guy out there who had an ability. He made an engine that ran on water. And what happened to him? He was murdered.
And there's a guy, I can't remember, a few years ago out of England, was running his tractors off of corn, the corn alcohol, and they shut him down. Yeah. In a heartbeat, took his farm away.
They can't have that. Big business, big corporations, Ford, General Motors, all that. They don't want that to happen. That would take away all their money. They can't have it happen. So what do? Because they're billions and trillionaires, they have power. So they'll just send somebody out there and you never hear from them ever again.
I want to ask you about a few of your experiences or stories that you've had and some of your encounters within the spiritual realm. So
one of my things I have in my book, I put some of my favorite readings in there. One of them was a reading that happened, I don't want to say by chance, it had to happen, but it wasn't something that was planned or set up. I went to this car show. I like to hang out there. They had a little tiki bar there, and I would drink my little Pepsi because I'm diabetic, so I can't drink anything else. But it was Diet Pepsi, so I would have that. And the bartender knew me and knew about me, so she would like me to stay there later in the evening, because when it gets dark out in dark rooms or with my eyes closed, I see more of everything. I'm sitting there, and she says, "So do you see anything yet?" And I said, "Let me look around. Oh, yeah, there's a guy here. And he's got hair, a little bit of hair on top of his head, but he's got his glasses on, and like I'm taking my glasses and putting them on top of my head, and he's pointing to the glasses, and he's got a beard, mustache, but he's got like a full beard. And she says, "Is there a name?" I said, and at that point, I really didn't get a lot of names, but I said, he's telling me his name is James. I got the word James in my head, and that's how it comes in for me. So I said, "It's James." She said, "Is he here for anybody?" I said, "Well, let me look around." I said, "Oh, he's pointing in the direction. It's these two people at the end of the bar, not so much the woman, but her husband." And I didn't know it was her husband, but they just told me that he said, that's her husband. So I said, "It's for the husband, not so much her, but together, but the husband." She said, "You think I should go down and say something?" I said, "Well, if you want to, you can. But if you don't want to, I'll go ahead and do it. I mean, what the heck?" She says, "All right, let me go down there." So she walks down, and about a minute into the conversation, I hear the woman go, "Oh, you mean my friend Jim?" And I said, "Yeah, his name Jim, but his name is James, but Jim, sure." I walk down and say, "How you doing? My name's Daniel Jackson. I see dead people." When I say it like that, it kind of breaks it up for people. And I said, "His name is James, but," and she said, "What's he look like again?" I said, "He's got glasses, but he puts them on his head a lot." And I said, "He's got a beard and stuff, a little bit of hair on top." And as I'm saying that, her husband's going through his phone. He's flipping through, and he pulls up his phone because, when you say this to people, they don't always think that they don't know if you're telling the truth. So he looks at me and he says, he points his phone up at me and he says, "Is Jim in the picture?" I said, "Yeah, it's that guy on the right-hand side." He goes, "Yeah, that's my friend Jim. He died 2 years ago." I said, I'm sorry, but he's still here." He said, "Why is he here?" I said, "Jim tells me that you're his son, and he's trying to help you make some better decisions in your life. And as long as you follow him, he'll help you because he's in a place that he can do that now." And he said, "What did you say?" I said, "He said you're his son." And he said, "That's strange." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, kind of funny." He said, "Jim and I used to race cars together, and he has shown me everything that I know. I still race cars now. And he showed me for like 20, 25 years, everything I've ever known about it." He said, I learned it from him when I was a kid." He said, "But every time we would go out to a social setting with friends and stuff like that, he would tell everybody that he was my dad." I said, "Okay." He goes, "He's not my dad." I said, "Well, Jim loves you that much that he feels as though you are his son, and he's here to help you make decisions." And as I'm telling him that, his wife is just bawling her eyes out, and she's like, "Oh my God." And she's like, "This is crazy." She said, "How would you know?" I said, "I wouldn't, but Jim's here telling me. That's how I know." I said, "He's here for you as a spirit guide." And I explained how he can be helped to him by listening to Jim, but, and Jim will bring him signs and show him stuff. And I pointed some stuff out to him, I said, and I said, "I know you feel Jim's presence around you." He said, "Yeah, I feel him around me all the time." I said, "Yeah." I said, he puts this smell out or something." And he's like, "How the hell did you know that?" I said, "Because Jim is telling me that. That's how I know it." And I said, "It's not something I know. He's just telling me, and I'm telling you." And he's like, "This is crazy." And as I'm telling him, the wife is like, "I smell that too all the time whenever I'm with my husband." I said, "Well, yeah, it's because Jim's here to be with your husband. You, because you're married to him, but he's got more of a connection to your husband." So I tell him everything. And as I'm doing that, I turn around and I look, the bartender's standing there. There's another bartender in there, and there's 10 people, and they got their mouths wide open. They're looking at me like, "How the hell do you know this?"
Right.
I said, because I turned around and looked at him, and I said, as I tell everybody, I can't make this shit up. I just can't.
Surely had to blow him away.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. It was so crazy that's one of the stories that I put in my book of that. Yeah, I can't make this up. It's just, it is, and it's going on all the time, but people just don't realize it, or they have let the world convince them that this is not real, or they like we were talking about earlier, how I say, I was watching a TV show, and they were talking about shadow people on there, and they put it out so people would be scared, and this is a regular TV show, Ancient Aliens. I asked you, I said, "What color is your shadow?" You said black. I said, "Yeah, what color is the shadow people?" Black. Just because it's black does not make it an evil thing. But they put this stuff out there so that everyone will be scared of this stuff. They want them to be scared and afraid of it so they can't believe that it can actually be good. That's why. When it actually is, a lot of it is good. Because when you put the fear into people, when you put fear out there into the world and you put it into people and you embed it in them, now what do you have? You have control of them. And this is what society wants to do. People need to stand up and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to believe in this fear anymore. I'm not going to believe in everything. I have to be afraid of everything in the world. Spirit is not here to scare us. Now, there are negative energies out there trying to influence us, but just like people, if you don't like, if a negative person is here, they are the singer and you are the audience member. And if you don't like what you're hearing, walk away. Well, you can do the same thing with negative energies as well. You don't have to listen to them. But the positive energies that are out there helping us, they're trying to help us. We have to learn to listen to what they're telling us to do, and we have to follow through. In a sense, like if you're driving down the street in a car and you see a car in front of you and you get that gut feeling inside of you, you get that feeling that says, don't pass the car. Well, you know what? Don't pass the car. They're trying to keep you from getting into something you shouldn't be getting into. But here's how you know when people don't listen to them. Well, this is the one. They say 3 words. This is the 3 words. And the 3 words are, as they say, because you're at the hospital visiting your friend who just got into the car accident, and they tell you one thing. They say, you know what, Al, I just saw that car in front of me. I just knew. When they say that, that means their spirit guide was just telling them to do this. But what did they do? They let the world convince them that, oh, they can do anything they want to. And they talked themselves out of it, and then they got into a car accident. When they say, I just knew, that means their spirit guides were trying to tell them. Start listening to that. When you get something inside of you that says, don't do this, then don't do it. When you get something inside of you that says, do this, then do it. Stop talking yourself out of things all the time. Listen to them, follow through.
It'd be nice if we could all come together and
yes,
and do what you're talking about,
That's best.
But I don't see it happen with all this hatred in the world and the division. Our country's so divided; it's sickening. I mean, from politics to racism, ethnic choices. I mean, want who you love, who you can marry.
Spirit does do things as well, just like these things, to see if we will actually learn from it. They did. We've had other spiritually involved incidences. The last one we had, previous to the one we just had, 9/11. That was meant to happen. And what happened? We did kind of learn from it for a little while. We did start treating each other nice, and we're saying hello and hi, how are you, and all that stuff, because we saw what could have happened. But then we turned right back around again. Well, we just had another one. And this was our last one, COVID, because after COVID came, what did we start doing? We started saying, we praise the nurses, praise the doctors, praise the firemen, praise the policemen, praise the people who work at Walmart. And that was going on for a while. What's it doing now? They turned it right back around again.
Like they forgot.
They want you, if you see somebody cough, if you see somebody without a mask on, report them. This is what they want. This is how they change it around. I was told through a channeled message that about COVID 2.5 years prior to it coming, and I was going around telling people of a bad virus was going to come and the first stock market crash. And I was telling them how to prepare. I, at that point, already had, because of the messages I was getting, 3 years worth of toilet paper. So I wasn't scared when it was, and all the people I told the same thing, rice and water and beans and all that stuff, everything, they're all prepared now. And then when it actually came, I got all these messages from people who said they were so glad they listened to me because they're prepared now. Because as I always tell people, it's better to be prepared than it is scared. And if you're prepared, you're going to be okay. But then I got like 20 messages from people who said, I wish I would have listened to you, but I thought you were crazy. I said, I'm not crazy. Are you going to listen to me now? Because I was telling people last year, at the beginning of last year, how these gas prices were going to skyrocket, and then they were going to go low again, and now they're going to skyrocket again, and then we're going to have a food crisis. It's happening.
I live in a really, really small village in Ohio. So I felt bad for these little business owners we have. And I was talking to one just the other day, pizza shop, and he had to raise his prices, $1 for each pizza.
Yeah.
Because number one of the cost of delivery, the cost of the boxes, the cost of the pepperoni. I mean, it's everything is like, I'm not putting these extra prices on for so long, but I'm not making any huge profit because I don't want to lose my customers.
Right.
But now there's almost every shop in our little town now is either open, they're shut down Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
And
can't staff.
and they can't get to work.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and
went to get pizza yesterday with my wife, and it wasn't the largest pizza I've ever seen. It was like a medium-sized pizza. It was $17. I was like, what? They just had this big giant meeting somewhere in one of these countries about the world and what's going on and all that stuff and how they're going to change policy and all that stuff. All these politicians and stuff like that. They're also worried about everything going green, but they all rode there on their own private jets, But they had this big giant meeting there. But you know who invited themselves? And they're not even politicians, not even people making decisions. Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab, because they told them, we're going to start running things.
It don't surprise me not. I mean,
they're not even government people, but they're billionaires and they have the power.
It's the court because as soon as these politicians, local, state or federal, as soon as the big business gets in that person's pocket, as soon as they put that big money in their campaign,
yes,
they want that special privilege.
Their constituents, right?
Exactly.
Yes,
and we need some other parties out there to even this thing
parties.
Up. What would you have?
Parties.
I mean, just
stop the parties, take them all away, take all their jobs away, take all their so-called power away from them, and tell them, you know what, this doesn't work for us anymore. You're not out there for us. You're out there for yourselves. Because how do we know about this? The World Economic Forum, the New World Order, Klaus Schwab. People are graduates of the WEF. What does that even mean? They are graduates because he taught them hey, this is how you control everybody. Go out and do it. And that's what's happening in this world. I mean, just recently we had that thing with the baby formula. All the baby formula was supposedly tainted. How did it become all the factories, how did it all become tainted all at once? But when it was tainted, they shut it all down. But then, but right out of nowhere, Bill Gates, out of nowhere, says, I got a new company. It's all, we created this formula. It's not natural. We created it. So now we can save everybody. How did he know that all this stuff was going to go bad to build this company that apparently took years, but it just apparently came out of nowhere? And he's got this formula. Now I can sell it to save everybody. So if you want form, what did he do? He monopolized. He took it away from everybody else.
And who was at risk is the young mothers out there trying to feed their baby,
Right.
Naturally, they're petrified on how am I going to feed my child?
How is it all of a sudden they have almost over 100 companies in the United States that are factories that produce all this stuff somewhere? I don't know how it happened, but they all burned down. How does that happen? Because they're going to do the things the way they want to do it when they want to do it, and we're going to have to rely on that if we want to continue to survive. Or we walk into office and say, no, you're done. They are all out to make money, but on our dime, on the backs of us. That's what they're doing. Spirit does not want that for us. They want us to work together. The only way they tell me it's going to work for us is if 2/3 of the population needs to go away. 2/3 is the negative side of this world.
Well, Daniel, it's really been my pleasure having you on tonight. And my wife and I, we always order all these books off of Amazon, and your book is in my shopping cart.
Is it awesome? Yeah.
So as soon as I order it, I'm going to give you a good review on it. Yeah. The New Beginning. Tell my listeners out there if you're looking for that special book for that person who is into paranormal and psychic mediums, and this book by Daniel Jackson is really nicely priced. Makes a good holiday gift. Oh yeah, makes a great holiday stocking stuffer. I mean, Daniel, I'll put all these links in the bottom of this episode. And thank you. I
made it $8 because I only make $2 off of it when they sell it from Amazon, because Amazon gets the rest. But they do a lot of the stuff. They make the book, and they put it all together. We just formatted it, but I only make $2 off of it. But the reason I do that is because I would love to sell 1 million books. I don't want to make $2 million. I just want to help as many people as I can. That's why I did it for that. But yeah, and the basic story is, it tells you everything that I went through But what I did in the story is I didn't just sit on this. I didn't get scared and I didn't sit on it. What I did do is I went out and tried to find my people so I could find other people to help me, because there's got to be somebody else out there who can help me in this world. There's 7.5 billion of us. There's somebody else who's going through this as well. And I did. I found people. So the story's cool. It is pretty cool, because all the stuff, although when I was going through it, not so cool, but because of all the stuff I was seeing, and I still see it all the time, but I understand it now. The moral of the story is, if you're having these types of things happen in your life, go out and find your people. You're not alone in this world. No one is. We have spirit guides, but we also have us around us. That's what we're all here for, to help each other. That's the basis of us. Even if you're not just having these like spiritual type things, if you're just having something going on in your life that you can't get figured out, go out and find your people. Find other people who can help you. That's the whole point of that part of the book. The other part is just those 25 messages to get us back on track. Yeah. $8.
Yeah, I look forward to getting the book. Very, I think, fairly priced.
Well, you can do two things. You can either get the book from Amazon, or you can go on my website, www.spiritmediumdaniel.com, or I have a podcast as well called Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, and that's www.beyond-the-veil.com. You can go on there. You can order the book from there. But what you would be getting there is you can get a signed copy, and I will sign the copy to you, and then we will send it out to you directly instead of getting it from Amazon. But still, if you get it and you like it, I would appreciate it if people would put a review on there. I have some reviews on them now, and they're all 5-star reviews. So I know people enjoy it.
Mm. Well, congratulations on your new book, and we didn't even really get into the podcast. Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And I will put the links to the podcast, the book, and your website in the links below.
Awesome. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel Jackson. Do click on his links at the bottom. His new book, The New Beginning, is available at Amazon, and a few other links I will put in the bottom. I tried to stay on course without going too much into religion and politics, because mainly I want to stick with the paranormal. This will be my last episode for the year. I wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I'm taking a few weeks off, rest up my throat. I've been having this terrible cough for the past 2 months, struggling with this bronchitis, and hopefully I didn't damage my vocal cords too much by coughing and hacking and all that good stuff. But I will be back in January with a look back on this past year of 2022 that's coming up new for 2023, starting my 5th season in January. I want to thank everybody out there for following me, downloading, liking, subscribing, nice comments, bad comments. Thank you, everybody. I really, really do appreciate you. This is Al Cooley from Ghosts in the Valley podcast. Take care.